Peter, take it away.
All right, I think Lee will back me up on this. An occupational hazard being lawyers, we love to hear ourselves talk. So I could go on for hours, so somebody's going to have to cut me off.
I'll go like this in 2 minutes.
All right, you better give me 8 minutes first. My name's Peter Hall. I grew up in Texas. I was born out in West Texas, Midland, and I primarily grew up in Austin. And all of my family went to UT, except that I went to A&M. And I'm the only one out of 10 that went to A&M and didn't go to UT. And that's where I met my wife, whose entire family went to A&M, all, God knows how many of them there are. In fact, she used to run this chamber. So I've known most of y'all for many years. She ran this, I can't even remember when she started that. So anyway, law is a second career. I took at least 32 years to try to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up. I'm still not sure I had finished. But I started off as an IT tech. I did a lot of internet software through the 90s dot-com bubble, and I was a casualty of the burst. So I decided one day, Saturday morning, I was 32 years old, and I told my wife, I think I want to go to law school. She looked, you've been saying that for 10 years. Do it? Shut up. She was hoping for the shut up. Little did she know, we were in Austin at that time with a 2.5-year-old child. So then a couple weeks later, I said, Molly, pack your bags, we're moving to Lubbock. So we did. Stayed there, worked for a federal judge for a couple of years after law school. Moved here, thought I wanted to be a litigator. After a few years, decided no, I did not want to be a litigator. So I have been doing probate, estate planning, and real estate for quite a few years now. We've been in Murphy for 13 years and pretty well settled at this point. We have a 20-year-old daughter at Texas Tech, a 13-year-old boy at Murphy Middle, and that's kind of where I came from. I born and raised Texas, never lived anywhere else, but I try to escape every now and then to come back. So, our law practice, I am partnered with a very good friend of mine from law school. He was a year ahead of me. We partnered up about a year ago. His office currently, which is part of the reason for the move, is he's down at 75 in Mockingbird, because he lives down in that area. I've been officing in Richardson and Beltline and Coit, and it's just we are growing so much that has become unworkable. So not only are we moving into our new lease, but we are actually going to be looking for I call it a parasecretary, somebody with paralegal skills that doesn't mind helping a small firm grow and take care of all the stuff that we simply don't have time to do. So if you'll know anybody that is looking for a 2 to 3 day a week job, kind of schedule to fit, that has any kind of paralegal experience, doesn't mind doing the filing and the other stuff that we're spending time on, we're looking. We're going to be hiring somebody very soon, and we hope within the next 6 months, based on our current growth, that we're going to be hiring another attorney in the next 6 months. So things are going well. We intentionally are planning to keep our firm small, and we offer a finite set of areas. We're not necessarily looking to expand our areas. But as I said, I cover probate and estate planning as my primary area, but I do real estate because I have a title office. So I can close your commercial or residential real estate. I also do transactions. I do all kinds of one-off transactions that title offices generally don't want to do. One of my competitors, North American Title in Garland, who are actually really good friends of mine, get calls every day of somebody wanting, well, I need to add or remove a spouse to our deed. Well, they can't do that, so they send it to me. So I do even those really small things. We offer very tailor-made services, and I can help not just your clients and help y'all look good, but y'all need me as well. One of the other services, I'm the only one in the office that does the probate, estate planning, and real estate. My partner Everett New, and by the way, it's New in Hall, it's not an adjective. He started the company with the state and called it New Hall. I said, it sounds like an adjective. So let's at least make it, obviously it's 2 names. Everett is a brilliant attorney. He does all business. And it doesn't matter if it's a one-man shop or a large company. Last year we defended a $300 million oil investment company who was crosswise with the SEC. That put them out of business and we kept them out of jail. So he offers all kinds of business stuff for that. Now, why is that important to y'all? Well, we do one-man businesses, 20-man, doesn't matter. We heard about a suggestion of using your home equity to buy some rental properties. It's a great idea. What you don't want to do is buy that rental property, put it in your own name, and then manage it in your own name. Someone slips and falls, breaks a leg, they sue you, they get your personal assets as well as that rental house if they need it to satisfy that judgment. So we can help you design a limited liability company to hold one or many real estate assets or any other assets. If you're starting your own business, you don't want to have personal exposure to the company's debts and obligations. Come to us and we will help you find the appropriate way to structure your business. I get a lot of questions, I'm sure Lee does too. Well, can I form my own company online, or can I find a will online? Short answer is yeah, you can. LegalZoom's not going to give you any guidance. They're not going to give you any advice. And so, and it sounds crass, but it's not intended to be. Can I find my own will online? Yes, you can. How do you know you found the right one? And I can give you a few examples. And let me start with this. It sounds like a tagline, but it really isn't. If you don't have an estate plan, the state of Texas has one for you. Okay? Who thinks their government is infallible and does everything right and has all my best interests at heart? I bet you nobody. A couple rhetorical questions. You don't have to raise your hand, but here's some scenarios that people don't realize. Who thinks that when mom and dad are still married, one of them dies, everything automatically goes to the other? There's nothing automatic about it. Okay? If you are in a situation, this is more and more common, and I don't like having the conversation I'm leading up to with widows or widowers that say I want to downsize. Part of the conversation is, well, my spouse had children from a prior marriage. Have a will? No. You're downsizing a whole lot more than you think you are. This may apply to y'all, may apply to your children or your parents, but it's something we all need to worry about. If a husband and wife, or whatever the relationship is, a couple, they're legally married, one or both have children from a prior marriage, that person dies without a will. The children inherit the community half. So I've had the conversation with a 78-year-old woman who was unemployed, had no money in the bank. She said, I want to sell the house now that my husband's died and I want to downsize. For this discussion, yeah, he had 4 children from prior marriage. They hate me. They have issued death threats to me. Wow. And I said, they own half your house. And, you know, I'm sitting there delivering bad news. She's bawling. We'll figure out one way or another to do this, but you know, you just don't own everything. Now, maybe you're the child of that spouse that doesn't have the will, and the other spouse, you're thinking, hey, great, I'm going to inherit mom or dad's community half. You don't come out smelling like a rose either. Maybe mom or dad had some separate property. You're thinking, well, hey, I get the community half and all the separate property. No. The surviving spouse gets what's called a 1/3 life estate in all separate property. What the hell does that mean? What's a 1/3 life estate? Well, I've never figured out the 1/3 part in 15 years. Nobody's been able to explain what is a 1/3 life estate. In essence, it means that spouse has a right to that property for the duration of his or her life. You can sell it, but you're going to have to get that spouse to sign off. That spouse really can't sell it. Technically, yes, you can sell a life estate. But, oh, 1 minute. See, I could do this all day. You can sell a life estate, but there's no market for it, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's stuck. If you're crosswise with that surviving spouse, that property's not going anywhere. Anyway, so those are some examples of why you need to look at estate planning. Another thing for the realtors, when you get a new listing and it's an older couple or it's a single person, you ought to be asking, did somebody die in this relationship? Because you don't want to get 3 days from closing and realize, oh, nobody probated the spouse's estate, because you're not closing, and then you're in breach of contract. And then your buyer may be really ticked. Lee or I can do a probate pretty quick in some counties, right? Collin County, we can do it 4 to 6 weeks. We can do a probate quickly in Collin County, but you must do it in the county where the person resided. Dallas County, I don't care how simple your case is, it's going to be a couple of months. if you can even get them to answer the phone to set a hearing. I've left 5 messages for one court in the last week. Well, I'm out of time, but as I say, I could go on for hours, so, yeah.
Just as a public service, if you have a house and you put it into your mother's name with just a basic warranty deed, when she dies, you do not get to keep the house even if you paid for it.
Good point.
I've had like 5 of those in the last year, so
Well,
people need to know that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. So look, whether you come to me or not, yes, you can download one online. I don't recommend it. I've invalidated quite a few of those, not to be mean, but because they weren't done right. And it's either valid or it's not. So come to me, come to Lee, go to somebody and get a goodwill. Spend the few $100s. Don't risk it. It's going to cost more after you're gone. Your family's going to be cussing you out after you're gone because you created a mess that they didn't deal with.
That's what I want to do.
Well,
That's not the goal.
we'll cuss you anytime you want.
I won't know anyway. So.
One more question.
On that, the 1/3,
Like state.
yes. What if the spouse owns property in another state?
The real estate, if you're talking about real estate,
Yes.
each state controls. So Texas rules control for any Texas state. You'd have to go to that state and say, hey, died intestate, meaning without a will, what's the ownership here? So it could actually be different. And I know my time's up, but you're gonna have an issue there. Now you can establish, we do what's called a determination of heirship, to have a court declare who are the person's heirs. And under the full faith and credit of the U.S. Constitution, every state has to recognize that. But no state can transfer ownership of property outside of its borders. So you're gonna have to take the judicial declaration from here, register it in Colorado, and then they're gonna say, oh, well, the spouse gets it. You're thinking, crap, just lost 100 acres in a national forest in Colorado, it's worth $1 billion, you know, something like that, who knows? Or if you're the spouse, well, no, the kids get it. You're out in the cold. So each state's different.
Very good, thank you, Peter. Peter, after the meeting, okay?
And also, we are putting the spotlights out on our website, and then we try to archive them, so even if you don't catch it, we're trying to get them archived, and we still have several to do, thanks to Bobby. He films these every week, and so.
You were filming me?
Well, I got a little snip of you, so that part of Facebook, yeah. And so, Facebook, I just wanted to tell you that.